What's up, family? Tasha checking in with another video, and this is going to be none other than a IIhan Omar breakdown. Who is this woman at the top of Minnesota's biggest fraud scandal? Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Let's do it. If it's your first time being here, go ahead and like this video, comment in the comment section, and let's get started. Let's get over to what X has to say about her. Okay, let's do it.
$1 billion in COVID funds. Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman IIhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds. Well, now.
So you heard what Fox said. Let's scroll on down and see if we can find some more information. Now, this is what's interesting to me, okay? This came out back in February 19, 2025. It says Minnesota State Representative Steve Jerkowski, I think that's how you say his name, has the receipts, affidavit, eviction notices, documentation demanding for the arrest of IIhan Omar for the crimes of federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, and federal student loan fraud. Now, this was back in 2005, and let's look at it.
Omar on the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs. I'm also asking Congresswoman Craig to initiate an ethics investigation into Congresswoman Omar because of questions about federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, federal student loan fraud, and state violations of perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and acts of campaign fraud abuse in Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, and Florida. There are also violations of state ethics or of the Minnesota House ethics rules regarding colleges for speeches she gave while she was in partial control of their budgets as a member of the House Higher Education Finance Committee in both 2017 and 2018. She was found guilty of the violations by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board 3 weeks ago in order to return those funds on June 6th.
Now, let me just say this. He's gone over all of the things that she's being accused of, but this was back in February, y'all, of 2025. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live. We about to break down who IIhan Omar is, okay? Friend or foe, right? Is she at the top of this Somalian fraud? Listen, this woman, before we deep dive any further, let's get into who she really is, okay? So I pulled it up on Google in case y'all do not know who she is. Her name is IIhan Abdali. I cannot pronounce that name, so I'm not even going to try. Omar. She's an American politician serving as the U.S. representative for Minnesota's 5th Congressional District since 2019. She is a member of the Democratic Party. Before her election to Congress, Omar served in Minnesota House of Representatives from 2017 to 2019. Okay, she was born October 4th, 1982. She's 43 years old and from Somalia. Okay, she's been married twice, and we are going to get into this part of her background, which I thought was interesting. Omar became a U.S. citizen in 2000 when she was 17 years old. Is anybody else looking at that sideways? Because I'm just going to say this, right? I'm just going to say this. I am for anybody coming to the U.S. if you do it the right way. However, she was born in Somalia. She didn't become a U.S. citizen until 2000. This raises an eyebrow for me because I'm looking at it like, okay, so she wasn't born here. So she became a citizen when she was 17. How is it possible that individuals who were not born on U.S. soil get into congressional seats? Because even when you're the president, you can't even run for president unless you were born in the US. So you mean to tell me at a local level, you can have individuals come into the country and get in these offices? And let me just tell you this. The local level is the thing that matters more than the presidential election, if y'all did not know. These local people get in, these local politicians get in those seats. They can make some plays and things happen, just like what's going on over in Minnesota. Okay, so let's look at what further details. Now, again, this was from February 2025. They were investigating at that time things that she could be involved in.
Ms. Omar appears to be a serial career criminal and should not have access to our nation's highest secrets and intelligence. That is why I'm calling on our Congresswoman Angie Craig to protect both our national security and our respect of the rule of law. Tax fraud, immigration fraud, student loan fraud, perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and campaign abuse fraud from the East Coast.
And you got to say this, I kind of believe the kickbacks. I'm thinking that is exactly why she's in the position that she's in. It's a lot of exchanging money under the tables. And we're going to get into why I think she is important to Minnesota. Let's talk about it.
To the Mississippi River. If those charges have been brought against Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, the Star Tribune would not have said on Sunday that she was attempting to, quote, skirt the law, and then followed up with a front page story the next day on a pie in the sky proposal that had zero chances of becoming law. Minnesota.
This was 14 minutes. I don't want to get into the whole thing of it, but I do want to talk about this other post that was posted back in December 1st, 2025. See, it was starting to unravel, but sometimes things take a little longer to get there and unravel because you have to go through all these rabbit holes to see what it is actually going on. But Nick Shirley came out and he was the one that put everything in motion and on blast, even though they had this speculation. When he came out with that whole documentary thing that he did about a couple of weeks ago, that's what made them sit up in their seats and put even more things on blast about this whole fraud situation. So this was back in December 1st, okay? And this goes and says, breaking news, voter fraud case in Minnesota ties Somalian communities with registering fake Democratic votes. Now, this is why I think that there is a high population in Minnesota, why they're looking the other way when it comes to the fraud, because of course they want the votes. They want the people. They know American people is not putting up with too much crap, okay? So what they do is let all of these foreigners come over here. They try to make up fake things about them being a citizen and different things like that so that they can get the votes. It's all political at the end of the day, everybody. Let's look at what he has to say. This was back in December 1st.
Allegations in a Minnesota voter fraud case that first came to light this summer. 2 people pleaded guilty in federal court to being paid to help register voters. In all, 500 to 600 fraudulent voter registration applications were submitted to election officials in offices in 13 Minnesota counties. Esme Murphy has been following this case, and she joins us now. Esme?
Hi there, Frank. It was some sharp election workers in Carver County who realized the names and addresses on the voter registration forms did not match with any county residents. Prosecutors charged 2 people with 1 count each of voter registration fraud. According to the charging documents, the 2 were paid by an unnamed foundation to help register voters. The 2 defendants pled guilty this summer and have since moved out of state. The scope of the 2-year FBI and state investigation was not previously known.
And it's very significant that they said today it was 13 counties, between 500 and 600 fake voter registrations. And that's just from 2 of the independent contractors that worked with this group.
The investigation involved scouring hundreds of records.
On guidance from the FBI, the voter registration applications were mailed directly to the election lead, and instructions were shared to use gloves when handling the forms.
In testimony before the committee, Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon says the system designed to catch voter fraud worked.
This is a case about individuals who conspired to submit false voter registration applications. This is not a case about fraudulent votes. And this is ultimately a case of the system working.
How many were in the system is challenged.
Republican Committee Chair Kristen Robbins, who is is running for governor, says she has additional concerns that the unnamed foundation that paid the two workers is funded by state taxpayer dollars.
99% of their budget comes from state grants. So this is a group that the state is funding and that then went out and did these voter registrations.
Now, the hearing left a lot of people, including us, with a lot of questions that were not answered. One of the big ones.
So y'all heard that, right? And I believe that what that woman said, the state is funding was funding those voters, and
Allegations in a Minnesota voter fraud case that.
Hold on. The state is funding it. So Minnesota clearly knows what the heck they're doing. That's why they have the largest Somalian community over there. They are looking the other way while they come in, commit these frauds, right? They're basically saying, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So you vote Democrat, and we will make sure that when you do these fraud things and this paperwork, that it will get moved along and it won't be no issues. Okay. What else X had on here? Like I said, they was looking at her back in 2025. I think that Nick Shirley just kind of put the steamroll rolling on the whole foolish way. You could tell me at all that a Somalian woman that is in the Congress seat has nothing to do with this whole fraud situation going on. Because guess what? The people have to get the funding from somewhere. They have to get it from the government. All the U.S. citizens right now should be in outrage because our taxpayer dollars is being used to fund, or was being used because they put a pause on it, was being used to fund this foolishness, this fraud. And you cannot tell me, if you are at the seat of government, you mean to tell me, let me follow Nick real quick. You mean to tell me that you had no idea of what was going on? Now, let me get to this video, okay? I'm going to play the 42 minutes of this video. This wasn't the one I wanted to get to. It's actually this one. Now, Nick went back to Somalia, and he says in his post, after my last video exposing over $110 million in fraud, Tim Walsh dropped his run for election, and multiple federal investigations were launched to stop fraud across the country. So Minnesota is not just the only place, because there has been said that there has been fraud in Maine now that they are looking at within what community? The Somalian community. Okay. In this 51-minute video, David and I exposed another 16 million in fraud in Minnesota welfare. Okay. And so like, even if y'all say he shouldn't be doing it, he shouldn't be there, people feel like he should not, he went there and he did it. Okay. And so because of his boldness to do it, because for me personally, some of these men was coming at him in his face, almost threatening him. He has to get security to be with him and everything, because it's a very violent thing that he is doing. But if you are a U.S. citizen paying taxpayer dollars and you're out there working hard, we're trying to survive ourselves, you mean to tell me millions of dollars are being frauded in our country and we should not say anything or do anything about it? I think not. Okay, let's look at a little bit of what Nick did recently. This video came out, everybody, when did you put this? Okay, the 14th. So 2 days ago. So let's see what is being said here in this video.
Wow, he actually dropped out of running for re-election. The Minnesota fraud scandal has erupted the nation as protests and riots took place, all starting because daycares like Quality Learning Center were exposed. However, the daycares is only a small portion of the fraud taking place in Minnesota. In this video, I will take you into what has continued to allow this fraud to happen and connect all of the dots for you, exposing all of the fraud from strange connections of the business owners and the politicians who have openly admitted to the fraud on live TV. And to dive deep into the fraud, I met back up with the local David, who has been investigating this widespread fraud scandal for years. So here in Minnesota, you have daycare fraud, you have adult daycare fraud, you have healthcare fraud, and you even have more fraud. What's some of the fraud that's also taking place here inside of Minnesota?
Well, what I think might be sort of the heart of the beast here is this transportation fraud. And what I mean by that is in Minnesota, we have something called non-emergency medical transportation, NEMT. My research has shown that there are about 1,020 such companies in Minnesota, and more than 90% of them are Somali owned.
And so right here on the table, what do we have? All this information right here.
So I have a number of companies that are local here in the Twin Cities, and this is just a fraction of the companies that are out there. What I found was that the national average for a non-emergency medical transportation company.
And this is my thing, right? This man is not, you act like it's somebody that's coming out with one piece of paper. Look at all the paperwork that's on the table. This man is from Minnesota. His name is David. He's lived there, born and raised, went to college there, everything. He loves this city, right? Because it's his home. He is trying to pull the wool out from over people's eyes to make them see that this is an issue that needs to be talked about. Okay, this needs to be handled. A control needs to be put on this situation, and it needs to start at the top, really, with the politicians. But since you can't get to the politicians as of yet, because when you're doing this type of investigation, it's going to end up leading to a chain, and the chain is going to link right up to the top. IIhan Omar is one of those people that sits in Minnesota in a congressional seat. Tim Walz already dropped out because he's like, wait a minute, this is starting to get a little murky. I don't want to be in it. Their mayor, Fry, I think his name is Jacob Fry, he's going to be, or Tim Fry, whatever his name is, but y'all know who I'm talking about. He's going to also be on the chopping block because you're going to have to prove and explain to the people how the heck were they able to get away with millions of dollars of fraud, of fake daycares, fake transportation, fake healthcare, all of these things. Explain yourself, sir. Money is coming out of our checks, and we deserve to know what's up.
Is 20 vehicles per company. A lot of these companies, their address is an apartment. Some are in a house. Some are in a convenience store. Some of them in a vacant building. There's no signage. There's nobody there.
And so why would there be such a need for all these transportation companies here inside of Minnesota?
So if you think of this transportation as the hub of the wheel, so childcare is a spoke, adult daycare is a spoke, autism is a spoke, the interpreter services, which we can get into, that's another spoke. It all ties back to transportation. Why? Because those meals someone had to deliver those meals. Someone has to deliver the kid to autism, or say they did. So it all revolves around the transportation. And so when you're looking at this, you say, okay, well, let's just be conservative. Let's go on the low side. Let's say there are only 800 Somali-owned non-emergency medical transportation companies in Minnesota. Well, again, the average is 20 vehicles per company. So that's 800 times 20. And the way these NEM.
All right, y'all, we're going to fast forward a little bit. He gave in the background. Let's fast forward until they get to some of these places that they're confronting. Let's look at this.
See if we have the manager. Let's see if we can find fraud. Hello. How are you? We're looking for the transportation company.
Safari Transportation?
Looking for Safari Transportation?
No, there's no Safari Transportation.
No Safari Transportation?
Safari Transportation is 607 Cedar Avenue.
We're just looking for Safari Transportation.
We don't know.
So, but this is registered for Safari Transportation,
know.
607.
That's the address.
Okay, we don't know.
We're asking where Safari Transportation is.
We don't know.
Okay, so the business is not here.
Don't record.
Fuad Omar?
Fuad Omar?
We don't know. This, do you see this? What is this?
Money transferring. Okay,
Well, this
registered.
is from the state.
This is fraud taking place.
So it's funny because they are literally going to these places that have these addresses and the business name is supposed to be this business. But you get up in there and it looks like the daggone flea market indoors, right? So they don't have no transportation company there. And even a man out of his own mouth said, we don't know what you're talking about. This isn't a transportation company. Duh. We see that. It looks like a flea market up in there. So, sir, explain yourself.
This is supposed to say, this is for Safari Transportation.
Go find out.
Yeah, we did find out. This is fraud right here.
Registered here
This is
since
registered.
2015.
2015?
Safari Transportation, state of
Oh, we don't know,
Minnesota.
2015. Oh, yeah.
Well, but it's registered now. This is current, just off the state of Minnesota website today.
Sir, please.
This is from today. I just printed this off today. IIhan Omar.
Go check it out.
We're here. This is 607. Where's Safari
607.
Transportation?
Okay, it's no Safari here.
Okay, so it's a fraudulent business.
Did you see Safari anything here?
Exactly.
Did you see?
Exactly. It's
Did
not
you
here.
see it?
It's a fraud.
Did you see, sir?
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to the next
Okay.
address. All right, let's keep moving on. So 607, this is supposed to be Safari Transportation, no transportation company. And now we're going to 617, another transportation company. However, it is actually Cedar Riverside Liquor. Where is the transportation company?
617.
617 right here.
Dreamline Transportation for the state of Minnesota is registered to 617.
And it's a liquor store. David, they aren't even trying to hide that these
Yeah.
are transportation companies. Where are the vans at?
Should we ask?
Let's go ask.
Hey, we're looking for Dreamline Transportation.
Now we're in 617, Dreamline Transportation.
No,
Where is the transportation company?
no, we don't have this.
You ever heard of Safari Transportation?
Safari, I know Safari, that money wiring, 607.
The money wiring.
Yeah,
Okay, that's money wiring.
yeah,
Safari
We're looking for
Transportation.
Safari
Maybe there.
Transportation.
607.
They said they never heard of it.
I never, Safari company, the money wiring, they send money there, that's the 607.
So Safari gets the money and then they wire it out.
Yeah, the money.
This man kind of like dry snitching. He probably like, listen, let me point their attention over there to another place so that I could continue to do my thing and nobody looking at me. You know what I'm saying? You see, he got the books out in front of him or the handwritten books and stuff like that. Child, this thing is wild. The fact that they were able to come over here and get away with this, our government should be ashamed of themselves for real, and the people should be outraged. U.S. citizens should be outraged because it's like any other U.S. citizen that tries to start a business in the U.S. has to do certain things, right? They make us jump through so many hula hoops. And you mean to tell me people can come over here, whether they were born here or not? At a certain point, you came over here, you were not legal, right? You're able to come over here, open up businesses, not only open them up, get away with millions of dollars of fraud. And you mean to tell me somebody like IIhan Omar, Tim Walz, and their mayor is going to look the other way as if it never even happened, or that, or like Nick and this guy David is making this up when they're literally going to the physical addresses? Shame.
That man just said that Safari is actually a money wiring company, so therefore they're receiving money and then wiring it somewhere underneath the name of a transportation
So they
company.
said to go here.
Suite A right here. And then you have 617A right here, but this is reliable services, immigration, travel, and tax. I do not see a transportation company anywhere.
Morning. Hey, we're hoping to find Dreamline Transportation. You ever heard of it?
I'm not heard of it. Ask next door.
He said to ask here, but you would know.
Ask next door. This is a mailbox. It's not a real call.
So Dreamline Transportation could be nothing more than a mailbox. 834.
So it could be one of these mailboxes. Well,
Okay, see you later.
607 Safari Transportation doesn't exist. It's actually a money wiring business. 617 Dreamline, inside of there, it's actually a liquor store. And then 617A is a place where there's a bunch of mailboxes and it says reliable ITT services. How are you doing, man?
I just want to ask you,
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at this
why are you
dude.
sensationalizing the propaganda
What are we
to
sensationalizing?
attack our community? What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making
we're
good
looking,
money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No,
for instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607? It's not there. And why don't you answer?
How much money are
why don't you answer the
how much
question?
money
Where's
are you
617
making?
Dreamline Security?
How much money are you making?
I make money
of
off of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That my job
and attacking
is
the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the
fraud is
reason why
fraud,
this is
sir.
happening. All right. Let me tell you the reason why.
Fraud is fraud, correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This
is fraud.
absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right. And us being from Africa. This is a constitutional argument. If you don't want.
You know what's crazy though? They end up coming here and they learn certain things to say that can make something triggering. They start with the race thing and the religion thing. They learn that from extreme liberals, and I ain't naming no particular race in particular, but they learn what to say to make their case appeal to the hearts of U.S. people, because people will look at this and be like, why y'all targeting them because they're Muslim and all of this? Y'all ain't look at this person, y'all ain't look at that person. Well, they're at the top of the blogs right now, and he's looking at these people. He's not just getting on a podcast or getting on his channel and just talking. He's actually going out in their community asking questions, and it's triggering these people so much so to the point where they're saying, okay, he's racist, he's this, he's that. He's like, how am I any of those things? I'm just asking questions. For the mere fact that there is fraud going on, and this is not to say that every Somalian is doing it, but there is a huge amount of them that's doing it. And what's said is that their community is very tight-knit. So you got to weed out the bad apples. That may mean going in some places where people are legit and making them prove themselves. If you don't have nothing to hide, you could pull up paperwork and say, yeah, I'm a business owner. Here's my business and things like that. And then you can move on with your life and go on about your business. But you can't act like that it's not a huge issue that's going on in Minnesota and now in Maine and probably other places.
On us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying that.
No.
We're not saying that.
When I go
Sir,
onto
we're
your
talking
comments,
about fraud. When
I go onto your comments,
my comments.
What I see is people that say we do not want Muslims here. Kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
That's a comment.
You're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps, just like the Japanese community. All right, you're sensationalizing.
No, we're not.
All right,
Sir,
something that can
question. Where is the transportation vehicle company?
Jeopardize
answer the question.
The safety and the protection of the Somali community.
We're talking about fraud.
Anything happens to the Somali
community. We're talking
community,
about fraud.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not physically touching.
You're getting very close.
I'm not physically touching. No, I'm not physically touching.
This is fraud. We're talking about fraud. You're defending fraud. You're defending fraud. You're defending fraud.
People who hate Muslims want us out of here.
People can say
for
what they
being
want.
Muslim,
I'm not censoring anybody.
are using your material. Islamophobes use.
So he's mad because people are in the comments talking about the fraud, Muslim, Somali, and things like that. Like Nick said, I don't control what people say. I'm not going to censor anybody. If people want to say what they want to say, let them say what they want to say. You can't control what somebody feels and thinks about what's going on. I mean, come on, dude. You act like he can go to each individual person. You know how big social media is? People behind keyboards all the time saying all type of crazy stuff. What is he supposed to do?
Your material. People who hate Islam use your material. Say to us.
I like Nick Ray-Bans though. Let's get into it.
We don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about
We're
fraud. We're asking about fraud.
You hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate Muslims. We're talking about fraud. We're talking about fraud.
Why are you attacking us?
This
are we
is
the
fraud.
only community that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about fraud.
Are we the only?
This is what happens when you allow wickedness in high places. The Bible speaks about it. Wickedness in high places. This is what happens. You cannot tell me that these people, I'm not even so much annoyed with the Somalian community or the fraud. I'm annoyed with the fact that they were able to get away with it on U.S. soil. But this is what happens when you have wickedness in high places.
Community that does fraud. Are we the only community that does this?
This is about fraud.
There's what, 300 Somali
This is
providers in
fraud.
all of Minnesota?
There's actually 800.
Don't keep talking.
So
you speak English?
transportation companies.
Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen,
Yeah,
let me tell you
so
something.
see, this isn't a race issue, sir.
Listen, let me
This is
tell
about
you
fraud.
The security does speak English. His mouth is covered, so of course it's not going to sound. Let's get into.
We have what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a.
Even it's 2,000 providers.
Okay,
you want to sacrifice the safety of 80,000 people
we're not
because of fucking 2,000 providers? Are you fucking mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Where's the transportation company?
What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you. If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick fucking Shirley.
This man is insane. This man is insane. All he's asking about is fraud, a fraud situation. He putting your community on blast, and now you mad. And now you mad.
This is about fraud.
One single Somali gets hurt.
This is about fraud,
it's because
sir.
of you sensationalizes. You son of a bitch. Sensationalizes.
Wow, you're very nice.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
Very nice.
Get the fuck out of our
Sir,
neighborhood.
can you tell me where the transportation company
Get the fuck out
is?
of our neighborhood. We don't want you here. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm sorry.
Calm down, sir.
I'm sorry, everybody. This man's mouth is reckless. Let's move forward because I'm not going to put y'all through the whole video. Okay, this is another place where he went.
Does not have anything to do with transportation company because there's no stickers on it and there's snow tracks. But the vehicles that are supposed to be used for transportation are literally locked in. Snow is building icicles. No one's even came out to remove the snow off the window. These transportation vehicles are not moving. And then right here, David has more paperwork for Silver Mountain. And there's 3 different companies in the same address.
Yeah.
So when we talk about how all these companies are intertwined, this is a perfect example of that. And this is why these transportation companies are so essential to the fraud in Minnesota, because they allow the fraud to be supported, as the majority of the fraud is from welfare programs like daycares, autism centers, and adult daycares, and healthcare services. They need to leave a paper trail to make it look like something is happening. Therefore, they use these transportation companies to create that paper trail by saying they're moving people from an adult daycare to a healthcare provider, for example, but they actually never provide the service at the healthcare provider. But that paper trail allows them to continue to bill the state for the money, and everyone gets paid. That's why this fraud is so deep and hard to dismantle, because quite literally everyone is involved.
And it's all because the state of Minnesota never checks.
All right, so this is actually...
And you know what? He said the state of Minnesota never checks. That's because there's wickedness in high places. They don't want to check because they're getting money under the table. If y'all want to watch this video, we're not going to go through the whole entire thing, but it is posted on his site on Twitter or X. And you can definitely see it on YouTube. This is the second video that he did. Of course, the one that went viral is on his channel as well. But we're going to get into some other what TikTok is saying about your girl. We're going to get into what TikTok is saying about your girl, okay? IIhan Omar, okay? Let's see what TikTok is saying about it. Let's look at some videos here. Okay? Let's talk about it. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I didn't share the screen. 1 second. I'm sorry about that. Let's see what good old TikTok.
And I'm still paying off my student debt. So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone millions. Well, people have checked the public records now. IIhan Omar apparently has a net worth upwards of $30 million, somewhere between $60 and $30 million. And get this, it's because of companies run and owned by her husband, who in 2023 had a net worth of $51,000. In 1 year, that $51,000 grew from $6 to $30 million. $3,500 1 year. What a good communist. It's always equality for you elitism for those in power. Let me give you the perfect example.
I cannot understand how people just are so blind. Look at what he just said. In 1 year, they went to millions. I ain't saying you can't have a good year in business, but come on. And then the husband runs some businesses. She's in the congressional seat where she can do some things where people can look the other way, right? Her husband is running some businesses. I mean, put two and two together. Don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that fraud is definitely at play.
Somewhere between 60 and 30.
Because things just got even more worse for IIhan Omar. I told y'all in the video yesterday that President Trump is got his eye on IIhan Omar. You gotta realize this woman been lying on this man. She say all type of crazy stuff. She was celebrating when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, and she's still saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff about the president and always complaining about our country. And that's what President Trump always say all the time. And the reason why he said that pretty much Trump is demanding that IIhan Omar gets a removal for marrying her own brother. He pretty much went on page and said, throw her the blank up out of this country. We definitely about to get into it. And not only that, man, President Trump had some words for IIhan Omar today. This man is pissed off. He is sick of all of this crap. And I'm going to show y'all exactly what he said. He did go on to call IIhan Omar garbage and her friends. Because like I said before, this is the part where Democrats play victim. Oh, Donald Trump just called IIhan Omar garbage, but they don't say none of the crap that IIhan Omar say about President Trump every single day, calling him a fascist, calling him a racist. I told you that they was going to run with this. They already saying they're calling this man all type of things. Then as soon as he say something back, they play victim. Oh, I can't believe the president said this. So we got a lot to get to today, and I'm going to show y'all exactly what President Trump just said, and he won't IIhan Omar and all the Somalians in Minnesota gone, and he goes off on 10 walls yet again. So please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you stay up to date with everything that's going on. And like I said, shout out to the one.
Let me give you the perfect example. How about Minnesota?
Okay,
I would love more accuracy of information, as they say, they're the most transparent administration, which is the biggest lie told on American soil, I believe. It is the least transparent. It is the most corrupt. It is the one administration I have seen lie to us, even though we have an accurate documentation of their lies, even if we.
You know what's crazy to me? She up here saying this administration is lying and doing all of this. Ma'am, fraud, a spotlight has been put on your city about fraud. And you have not come out and really debunked it or said anything about it of any substance. Why? Because you're at the top of it too with Tim and the rest of them. And y'all gonna have y'all day. It don't take a rocket scientist to go down a rabbit hole and start digging around and raise an eyebrow and looking at some things, right? It just don't. If you don't see it, you don't want to see it at this point.
It is the least transparent.
Let's see.
Woo! Hot on camera, y'all. I got some red hot, spicy barbecue blazing clips for you of Representative mentally IIhan Omar absolutely losing it when a reporter just asked her a simple question about the billions and billions and God knows even more billions of dollars of fraud that have been committed in her state by, to her own admission, her own people, the Somali migrant community. Wait till you see this. Plus, I'm telling y'all, I don't say this often, but I mean it with every fiber of my being. Stick around because I'm going to share with you a masterclass clip of our brave commander of immigration operations, Greg Bovino, who recently connected with us, Nez Nation, our movement to make common sense go viral. We're going to have him on our show pretty soon as well. Wait till you see this clip of his masterful response to Fried Brain Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, as well as Tim Walz and the rest of them when they say, get the F out of Minnesota. You don't want to miss that. But first, wait till you get a load of this.
Congresswoman, Republicans have repeatedly stated that you committed immigration fraud. Are you at all worried about a formal investigation that could perhaps lead to your deportation?
Are you one of those people?
I don't know what that means, but are you at all concerned?
Do I look concerned?
I guess not.
Okay.
All right. What about the Minnesota fraud hearing? You didn't show up for that. Do you think you should have?
Why should I have?
Well, it happened in your state. Don't you want to defend your position?
There were people from my state that were there.
Okay, but why not you? I mean, there's allegations that you're complicit in the fraud. Wouldn't you want to show up?
Why would there be an allegation that I'm complicit? How would I be complicit?
Well, what about Tim
Do
Walz?
you just ask stupid questions? Is this your thing?
I'm curious to get your thoughts.
No,
I mean, there's a lot of controversy around the issue. $9 billion in fraud in the state of Minnesota.
$9 billion?
You don't think so?
Really?
Yeah, and counting. Probably more, honestly. You think that's fake news or what?
That is more than half of the resources that are allocated.
Okay.
So you genuinely, like, your brain has told you that it is possible for half of the resources.
I'm just going off of what
for our public service to like half disappear is what you're saying.
Countless Minnesota state representatives, whistleblowers have come
listen
forward.
to yourself, though.
I'm
Like,
trying
just
to
think about that for a second.
Maybe if you showed up at the hearing, you would know that
just think
whistleblowers
about
are
that
being
for a second.
retaliated against for exposing the fraud. Why is that? Why are they being
But
tracked and
just
traced?
think about what you're asking. Who is tracing whistleblowers?
Minnesota state officials, Tim Walz, anyone who dares to speak out against the government.
Tim Walz is doing something to
Yeah,
whistleblowers?
why is Tim Walz stepping down if he's, innocent? Why isn't he running for re-election?
Because he's had 8 years to serve as our great governor.
He was going to be vice president of the United States if Kamala won.
Yes, and he would have been an excellent vice
But
president.
now he's stepping
much
down.
better than the person we have right now.
Now
Woo! Listen. That woman, she had her on the run. All you heard was clack, 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 clack. She was walking real fast, right? But you notice how she didn't answer any of this woman's questions. My thing is this: if you ask me a question, whether I'm upset about what's going on, whatever it is, you have a position as a congresswoman. Why aren't you answering the questions? All the woman is doing is asking you simple questions. This. All you gotta do is just say, "Oh, this is." But she can't answer the questions because she is involved in the mess, and her day is coming where she's going to be facing some criminal charges, in my opinion.
Really connected with us.
Let's see what else TikTok is saying.
This talk of ending ICE altogether by her is not smart, because what kind of country do we have if there's no law enforcement for our borders?
The Congressional Progressive Caucus has adopted an official position to hold ICE accountable. Our caucus members will oppose all funding for immigration enforcement in any appropriation bills until meaningful reforms are enacted.
And this is what kills me.
Practice.
How you want to not, hold on, y'all. How you want to not want ICE to do their job? Stop the funding for immigrant. That's what they do. This is the U.S. We have certain things that you have to do in order to be a citizen over here in this country. And you don't want them to do their job. Why? Because it's going to stop your friends from coming in here that's not really supposed to be here. So you just think that we just supposed to have no border control and just let everybody come in? Could you imagine if we just let the borders down and let everyone just come here, how out of control it would be? Law and order is necessary. It's been a thing since the biblical times. But she wants to stop it. And I don't understand how the American people isn't going down a rabbit hole and just using the brain that God has given them to see that this something in the water don't smell right.
Okay, so she wants no enforcement of our borders. Does this mean that, more money is going to come out for her friends that are taking it all the way to Dubai? Federal probe of hundreds of millions of dollars in suspected Somali cash in luggage leaving the Minneapolis airport. Again, this story, we first talked about this yesterday because it blew me away, like literally knocked me off my seat when I'm like $700 million in cash. Like, who carries cash anymore? Like, I don't even ever carry. Okay. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I'm like lucky to have $20 on me. Cash is king, but reality is most of us don't carry it out of the country, and we don't carry $700 million out of the country. I mean, what is going on? Again, this story being brought to us by Just the News. TSA flagging nearly $700 million detected in passengers' luggage leaving the Minneapolis airport in the last 2 years. That's your money. Don't kid yourself. I mean, if they had $9 billion in fraud.
And so true. That's our money. And it's leaving the U.S., going to Dubai and going wherever else. And as the American people, y'all up here looking at ICE. Y'all up here worried about ICE. You should be worrying about if you're going out every day and your money is being taken fraudulently. That is crazy to me. They found 750, what should they, million or $1,000, one of those in the suitcase at the airport. Does that not raise an eyebrow? I mean, come on. They didn't even say they found $1,000 or something. Massive amount of money.
700 is small. That's peanuts, right? We're not even talking about, I guess it's not even what 10% of what's going on. They get $700 million, and it's all apparently like been really ratcheted up since Timmy Walz came into office. I guess because they knew everybody was going to look the other way. This is amazing. So Customs is reporting that some of these suitcases contained as much as $1 million in a single trip. Wow. And it raised suspicions among TSA agents. You think? I mean, how was this allowed? Officials said that most of the dollars detected in luggage involved a small number of money couriers of Somali descent. Okay, so this is the Hawala system I told you all about, right? They're going on routine routes to Dubai via Amsterdam, usually from Minneapolis, but sometimes from Seattle, Dallas, Columbus, and Atlanta. Oh, Minneapolis. Minneapolis travelers alone had $342 million in their luggage in 2024 and $349 million in 2025. The totals nationwide likely to be much higher. This is sickening, okay? It's
very sickening. Very sickening. Very sickening. And anyone that is a U.S. citizen needs to be a little bit upset. Not a little bit, a lot of bit upset. That's even the word. You need to be outraged by what's going on within our country. Y'all, well, tell me what y'all think about this video and the clips that we have seen. Do y'all think that IIhan Omar is going to be arrested? I believe that it's a matter of time before she is put on the spotlight and under investigation. If all of these people that are committing the fraud are actual U.S. citizens, lock their tails up then, put them in jail. We have to stop it. We can't just put a Band-Aid on something. You got to go down the rabbit hole, find out what's going on, put a halt to it so that we can begin to put resources back into the United States. This has got to stop. I believe she's going down. It's a matter of time. I believe her husband is going to be looked at. It's a matter of time. Now, I don't know if her husband is her brother, that came out and was said. I don't know, right? But it's a matter of time. They need to lock her up. They need to lock Tim Walz up. And they need to lock up the Fry dude, okay? Because all of this mess would not be happening if they didn't look the other way. And I believe they looked the other way, and this is all my opinion, right? I believe they looked the other way because they were getting paid under the table. Remember the TikTok video we watched a little earlier? They just said her family went from thousands of dollars to millions of dollars in a year. How does that even happen? They look the other way and they get the money paid to them under the table. That's just my thoughts on it. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe to the Redefine Me channel. If it's hot and it's a topic, I'm going to cover it over here. I love y'all. Thank y'all for joining me, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.